He had 36 hours left in the course when they pulled him aside. "Pack your gear, Merrick. You're done here." No explanation. No second chance. Just the sound of his boots echoing in the empty barracks as everyone else slept. What he didn't know was that 3 men in black SUVs were already driving through the night toward Fort Bragg. And they weren't coming to send him home. Welcome to the Real Heroes Stories. Before we continue, hit that subscribe button and tell us in the comments which country and city you're watching from today. The briefing room door closed at 9:14 p.m. Merrick stood in the hallway. 23 other candidates still inside. He was out. Captain Hayes hadn't even looked at him when he'd read the dismissal. Just another name, just another failure. Except Merrick knew he hadn't failed. Not a single test, not a single evaluation. Something else was happening. He reached the barracks at 9:31 p.m. Started packing. Fatigues, boots, toiletries, everything into his duffel. His mind went back to day 7 of SFAS, SERE training, the phase that broke most candidates. They'd caught him at 2:47 a.m. on the 3rd night. 6 aggressor team members closing in through thick brush. Merrick heard them 30 seconds before they arrived. Heard the way they moved. Too coordinated for random patrol. This was deliberate. They knew where he was. He considered running, but the terrain worked against him. Dense forest, no clear escape route. So he stayed low. Waited. Let them come. They hit from 3 sides simultaneously. Professional. Fast. The first operator came through the brush to his left. Merrick shifted his weight. The operator's hand grabbed his shoulder, pulled him backward. Merrick went with the momentum. Didn't resist. Resistance meant injury. Injury meant failure. He went down face first. Tasted dirt. Felt hands yanking his arms behind his back. Flex cuffs bit into his wrists. Tight. Professional. Someone pulled a hood over his head. Darkness. Then rough hands hauled him to his feet, pushed him forward. 10 steps. Shoved him into a vehicle. Metal floor. No seats. Just cold steel under his shoulder. Door slammed. Engine started. They drove. 20 minutes. Maybe 25. Hard to track time with no visual reference. The vehicle bounced over rough terrain. His shoulder hit the floor with each bump. He counted them. Kept his mind occupied. 47 major impacts, 12 turns, 3 stops. Then the vehicle halted. Doors opened, hands grabbed him, pulled him out. His boots hit gravel. They walked him forward. He counted steps. 63, then stairs. 12 steps up. Door opening. Push through. 47 more steps inside. Turn left. Another door. Push through. Hands on his shoulders, forced down into a metal chair. His bound hands pressed against the chair back. Someone adjusted his position, locked his flex cuffs to something behind the chair. Now he couldn't move at all. Then footsteps. Door closing. Lock clicking. Silence. The first 60 minutes brought cold. Just cold and darkness and the hood against his face. His wrists hurt. His shoulders burned from the position, but he controlled his breathing. In through the nose. 4 counts. Hold, 4 counts. Out through the mouth. 4 counts. Hold. 4 counts. Repeat. A technique he'd learned years ago. Not in the army, before that. In a place he didn't talk about. 2 hours in, the pain became real. His shoulders felt like they were separating. His wrists had gone numb. He shifted his weight, tried to find a position that reduced the pressure. There wasn't one. So he went somewhere else mentally, counted his heartbeats, visualized a map, planned routes, calculated distances, anything to stay sharp. At the 4-hour mark, the door opened. Someone entered. Sat down. Merrick heard the chair scrape against concrete. Then a voice. Male. Calm. Asked for his name. Merrick gave it. Asked for his service number. Merrick provided it. Date of birth. Merrick answered. Then the interrogator asked about his mission. Merrick said nothing. Asked about his team. Nothing. Asked about his objectives. Silence. The interrogator waited 30 seconds, then asked again. Same questions, different wording. Merrick responded with name, rank, service number, date of birth. The interrogator tried 5 more times, then gave up. Left the room, door closed. 6 hours into the interrogation, a new voice entered. This one was aggressive, slammed something on a table, metal on metal, loud crack, asked where Merrick's team was heading. Merrick stayed silent. The interrogator yelled, said cooperation would make everything easier, said resistance only hurt Merrick, said nobody would know if he talked. Merrick gave name, rank, service number, date of birth. The interrogator slammed the table again, called him stupid, called him stubborn, said he was protecting people who didn't care about him. Merrick's response didn't change. The interrogator kept yelling for 10 more minutes, then left, frustrated, angry. By hour 9, a third voice entered. This one was different, quiet, patient, sat down without speaking, just sat there. Merrick waited. 1 minute. 2. 5. 10. The silence stretched. Most candidates broke during silence. The human brain hates emptiness, craves connection, craves interaction. But Merrick had learned to live in silence, had spent months in silence before. This was nothing. At 15 minutes, the interrogator finally spoke. Said he understood. Said this must be difficult. Said Merrick was just following his training. Said nobody would blame him for being smart about survival. Merrick gave name, rank, service number, date of birth. The interrogator tried empathy for another 20 minutes, then left. Around the 12-hour point, footsteps entered. Heavier, older. This person didn't sit, just walked around the chair. Slow circles, boots clicking on concrete, deliberate rhythm, psychological pressure, creating anticipation, creating anxiety. Merrick controlled his breathing, stayed in his mental space. The footsteps stopped behind the chair, close, very close. Then the voice came from directly behind his head. Said he recognized something. Said Merrick's breathing wasn't normal stress breathing. Said it was controlled, patterned. 4 counts in, 4 counts hold, 4 counts out, 4 counts hold. Said that's not something they teach in basic training. Said that comes from somewhere else, somewhere specialized. Merrick felt his chest tighten for half a second. This interrogator knew something, saw something others missed. The voice continued. Asked where Merrick learned to compartmentalize pain. Asked who taught him that breathing pattern. Asked what other training he'd received before the Army. Merrick gave name, rank, service number, date of birth. The interrogator waited. 30 seconds. 40. Then walked around the chair again. Stopped in front. Merrick felt the presence there, standing, evaluating. Then the voice came closer. Said he'd see Merrick again. Said this wasn't over. Then footsteps, door opening, closing, lock clicking, silence again. 14 hours in, Merrick's shoulders had gone past pain into something else. Numbness. Disconnection. His body was shutting down non-essential systems, conserving energy, protecting core functions. His mind stayed sharp, but distant, observing his body like it belonged to someone else. This was the edge. The place where most people broke, where the mind gave up trying to control the situation and just started talking. Started cooperating. Started begging for it to stop. But Merrick had been to this edge before. Had gone past it before, knew what waited on the other side. So he stayed present. Stayed controlled. Waited. After 16 hours and 43 minutes, the door opened. Multiple people entered. Hands grabbed the flex cuffs, cut them, pulled the hood off. Light blinded him. He squinted, blinked. His vision adjusted. 3 cadre members stood in front of him. One said it was over. Said he was done. They helped him stand. His legs didn't work right. Too long in one position. They steadied him. Walked him outside. The sun was setting. He'd entered in darkness. Was coming out in darkness. A full day compressed into that room. Captain Hayes stood outside the building, arms crossed, face unreadable. He watched Merrick walk past. Didn't speak. Just watched. And in that moment, Merrick saw something in the captain's expression. Not disappointment, not approval. Something else. Recognition. Like Hayes knew exactly what had just happened. Like he'd been expecting it. 12 days after Serre came the shoot house, day 19 of SFAS. Merrick stood outside the structure at 2:15 p.m. Weapon loaded. M4 carbine. Safety off. 30 rounds in the magazine. 1 in the chamber. Sling tight against his body. The range instructor stood behind him. Stopwatch ready. Gave the signal. Merrick moved. The door opened inward. He pushed through. Weapon up. First room immediate left. Single target. Standing position. Merrick's first round hit center mass before his third step. Didn't break stride. Moved through the doorway into room 2. 2 targets. 1 behind a desk. 1 in the open. Standard tactics said engage the exposed threat first. Merrick did. Double tap. Chest. Target down. Pivoted. The desk provided partial cover for the second target. Merrick saw the angle. Saw the gap between desk and floor. Dropped to 1 knee, put a round through the gap at ground level, hit the target's ankle. Target collapsed. Second round chest. Target down. 3 seconds elapsed. Room 3. The door was partially closed. Opening it slow meant warning. Opening it fast meant surprise. Merrick chose surprise. Hit the door with his shoulder at full speed. It flew open, crashed against the wall. 2 targets inside, both raising weapons, both mid-motion. Merrick engaged left target first. Closer. More immediate threat. 2 rounds, center mass. Pivoted right. Second target almost had his weapon up. Almost. Merrick fired. 2 rounds. Chest. Both targets down before either could complete their aim. Total time, 10 seconds. Room 4 was the real test. The hardest room. The one that separated good shooters from elite operators. Simulated hostage in the far corner. Hands behind back. Tape over mouth. 2 targets using furniture for cover. 1 behind an overturned table. 1 crouched behind a wooden chair. The hostage was in the line of fire. Any miss meant hostage casualty. Any hesitation meant targets could engage first. Standard procedure. Said slow down. Take careful shots. Ensure accuracy. But Merrick saw something different. Saw the geometry. Saw the angles. The wooden chair had a gap, 4 inches between the backrest slats. Target behind it was visible through that gap, partially. Merrick raised his weapon, aimed through the gap, fired. Single shot. The round went through. Hit the target. He saw the impact, saw the target drop. Pivoted immediately to the overturned table. Target behind it was using the table edge for cover, head and shoulders exposed. But the angle was bad. Hostage was in the background. A miss would hit the hostage. Merrick didn't fire straight. Fired at 45 degrees. Round went over the table edge, came down at an angle, hit the target. Shoulder. Target dropped. Merrick moved forward. Put a final round into the target to confirm. Total time? 18 seconds. Previous course record? 31 seconds. The range instructor stared at the stopwatch. Looked at Merrick. Looked back at the stopwatch. Didn't speak. Just made a note on his evaluation sheet. That afternoon, everything changed. Instructors stopped calling on Merrick during briefings. When they formed training groups, they separated him from top performers, put him with struggling candidates. Not punishment. Something else. Like they were hiding him. Like they didn't want other candidates to see what he could do. That night at 8:45 p.m., Merrick walked past the cadre office. Saw Captain Hayes through the window, talking to someone. Older man. Silver hair. Civilian clothes. They were reviewing a file. Hayes pointed to something on the page. The older man studied it. Nodded slowly. Said something. Hayes looked troubled. The man closed the file. Put it in a briefcase. Stood. Shook Hayes's hand. Left the building, climbed into a dark sedan. No markings, no unit identifiers. Drove away into darkness. Now, at 11:52 p.m., Merrick sat on his bunk. Duffel packed. The Seer interrogator recognizing his breathing. The shoot house record. The civilian reviewing files. The changed treatment from instructors. And now dismissal with no explanation. This wasn't failure. This was extraction. The door opened at 1:15 a.m. Captain Hayes entered. Looked at Merrick. At the duffel. His face was different now. Urgent. He crossed the room fast. Reached into his jacket. Pulled out a small envelope. Handed it to Merrick. Spoke quietly. Said 3 words. Get out now. Then turned and left. Door closing behind him. Merrick opened the envelope. Inside was a key card. No markings. And a handwritten note. Back door. Tree line. Wait. He looked at the door. Hayes was warning him. Something was coming. Something he needed to avoid. But why? What was Hayes protecting him from? At 2:51 a.m., Merrick heard engines. Multiple vehicles. Coming fast. He grabbed his duffel, moved to the back door, swiped the card. The lock clicked green. He pushed through. Outside. Cold air. Darkness. He moved along the building's edge, heard voices inside the barracks, heard doors opening. They were searching. Fast. Urgent. He ran toward the tree line, 50 meters. His duffel bounced against his back. His boots hit gravel. Loud. Too loud. Behind him, a shout. They'd seen him. He reached the trees, pushed through. Branches scraped his face. He kept moving, heard footsteps behind him. Multiple people, chasing. Not yelling, just running. Professional pursuit. He ran for 2 minutes, then stopped. Controlled his breathing. Listened. The footsteps had stopped. Silence. He waited. 30 seconds. 1 minute. Then he heard it. A voice. Close. Maybe 20 meters to his right. The voice said his name. Said they weren't here to hurt him. Said Captain Hayes sent them. Said Hayes gave him the key card because time was critical. Because there were others coming. Others who wanted to stop what was about to happen. Merrick stepped out from behind the tree. 3 men stood in a loose semicircle. The one in the center was the older man with silver hair, the civilian from Hayes's office. He looked at Merrick. Said his name was Colonel Rains. Said they needed to move immediately. Said hostile elements were trying to intercept. Said Hayes had risked his career to buy them 15 minutes. They'd already used 7. Rains turned and started moving through the trees. Fast. Merrick followed. The 2 other operators flanked them. Professional spacing. Tactical awareness. They reached a dirt road after 4 minutes. 3 SUVs waited. Engines running. Doors open. Rains gestured to the middle vehicle. Merrick climbed in. The operators climbed in after. Rains took passenger seat. The convoy moved. They didn't go toward the main gate. Went deeper into Fort Bragg. Made multiple turns through restricted areas. Then stopped at a chain-link fence. Armed guards. 2 of them. The guard approached, checked credentials, looked at Merrick, hesitated. Rains said something, showed another document. The guard's expression changed. He waved them through immediately. No radio calls, no questions, just clearance. They drove another 2 miles, past empty ranges, past dark buildings. Then stopped in front of a hangar. No unit markings, just a number. 47. Rains opened his door, told Merrick to follow. They walked to a side entrance. Rains used a key card. The door opened. Inside, the hangar was lit, but mostly empty. A helicopter sat in the center. Not standard Army, something else. Sleeker, quieter. 2 pilots running pre-flight. Rains walked toward it. Turned to Merrick. Said they had 6 hours of flight ahead. Said when they landed, the real selection would begin. Said SFAS was screening. What came next was the actual test. Said there was no going back from this point. Said if Merrick climbed into that helicopter, his old life ended. Said he needed to decide now. Merrick looked at the aircraft, at the pilots checking instruments, at the 2 operators standing ready. Asked one question, asked what Hayes had risked. Rains said Hayes had violated direct orders from someone very high up. Someone who wanted Merrick sent back to his regular unit. Buried in the system. Forgotten. Said Hayes believed Merrick belonged somewhere else. Said Hayes might face court-martial for what he'd just done. The helicopter's rotors started spinning. Slowly. Building speed. The noise grew. Rains waited for Merrick's decision. Merrick thought about Hayes. About the captain standing outside that interrogation room. About the troubled look when the civilian reviewed his file. About the risk Hayes had just taken. About the envelope and the 3 words. Get out now. Hayes had seen something. Had known something. Had acted on it. Merrick climbed into the helicopter. Strapped into his seat. The 2 operators climbed in after him. Rains got in last. Door closed. Sealed. The pilot's voice came through internal comms, said they were cleared for departure. The helicopter lifted. Smooth. Controlled. Turned toward the open hangar doors. Accelerated out into darkness. The flight was rough from the start. Low altitude. Fast. Nap of the earth flying. The helicopter banked hard left, then hard right, following terrain, avoiding radar detection, standard procedure for classified movement. Merrick looked out the window, saw trees rushing past, saw power lines, saw highways. They were flying dangerous, deliberately. At 3:47 a.m., turbulence hit. The helicopter dropped suddenly. Merrick's stomach lurched. The pilot corrected. Climbed. Leveled out. Then the pilot's voice came through comms. Said they had a radar contact, unidentified aircraft, same altitude. 3 miles behind them. Closing. Rains leaned forward. Asked for identification. The pilot said negative. No transponder, no radio response, just following. Rains spoke into his radio. Different frequency. Asked for situation report. A voice responded. Said there was an active intercept order on their flight. Said another unit had been scrambled. Said they needed to reach friendly airspace fast. Rains acknowledged. Told the pilot to evade but stay on course. The pilot understood. The helicopter banked hard right, dropped altitude, accelerated. Merrick watched through the window, saw another aircraft, dark shape against darker sky, still following. The pilot took them lower, 50 feet above the ground, trees on both sides, power lines ahead. He banked left, threaded between obstacles. The following aircraft stayed with them, but fell back. Couldn't match their low-altitude maneuvers. Too risky in darkness. The pilot saw an opportunity. A canyon. Narrow. He dove into it. Walls on both sides. Tight clearance. He flew through at full speed. The following aircraft reached the canyon entrance. Hesitated. Too narrow. Too dark. Too dangerous. It pulled up. Chose a different route. By the time it repositioned, they were gone. The pilot changed heading. Northwest. Maximum speed. At 4:35 a.m., they crossed into different airspace. The pilot confirmed they were clear. No more pursuit. Rains looked at Merrick, asked if he understood what had just happened. Merrick said someone tried to stop them. Rains nodded, said there were factions within the military, different agendas, different priorities, said what they were doing existed in the spaces between those factions, said some people wanted to control who got selected, said others believed in letting the process work, said Hayes was one of the latter, had paid the price for it. The flight continued. Smoother now. Higher altitude. At 5:47 a.m., dawn started breaking. Thin gray light on the horizon. The helicopter flew toward it. Merrick looked down. Saw mountains. Saw forests. Saw nothing that looked like civilization. Just wilderness. Remote. Isolated. At 6:15 a.m., the pilot said they were approaching destination. Merrick looked ahead. Saw a valley. Narrow. A single structure in the center. Concrete. Fortified. No markings. No flags. Just gray walls and razor wire. The helicopter descended. Slow. Controlled. Touched down on a landing pad. Rotors still spinning. Door opened. Rains climbed out. Turned back. Told Merrick to follow. Merrick grabbed his duffel. Stepped out onto the pad. The rotor wash hit him. Wind, noise, dust. He followed Rains toward the structure. 50 meters. They approached a reinforced door. It opened before they reached it. A figure stepped out, backlit. Hard to see details. Then the figure moved forward, into the light. And Merrick stopped. Because the face was familiar. Someone from before the army, from the place where he'd learned that breathing technique, from the 3 years he'd spent trying to forget. The figure looked at him, smiled slightly, said one sentence that changed everything. Said, "Welcome back. We've been waiting 6 years for you to be ready." The figure was Commander Vance. Merrick knew the face instantly. 7 years ago, Vance had trained him in a program that officially didn't exist, had pushed him to limits he didn't know he had taught him that breathing technique, then told him to forget everything. Join the regular army. Wait until called. Merrick had spent 3 years trying to erase those memories, then joined the army 4 years ago. Waited. And now Vance was here saying the wait was over. Vance turned toward the building. Merrick followed. They walked through reinforced doors, down concrete corridors, no windows, no decorations, just functionality. They stopped at a room. Vance used his key card. Inside were 10 people, all wearing gray fatigues with numbers on their chests. No names, no ranks, just numbers. They looked at Merrick when he entered, evaluated, measured. These weren't regular soldiers. Vance told them to sit, said they were 11 candidates selected from hundreds, said each had been identified years ago, watched, tested without knowing. Some came from SFAS, like Merrick, others from Ranger Battalion, others from SEAL teams. Different paths converging here. He said 3 evaluations would determine who stayed. Most would fail, maybe all. Better to have nobody than the wrong person. First evaluation started in 10 minutes, told them to gear up, lockers behind them. 8 minutes. Then he left. Merrick found locker 7, opened it. Inside was tactical gear, black fatigues, plate carrier, helmet, weapon. He changed quickly. Around him, others did the same. Nobody spoke. At exactly 10 minutes, a different instructor entered. Younger, combat-scarred face, told them to follow. They walked to a kill house, modular rooms, different layouts. The instructor explained the scenario. Hostage situation, unknown number of hostiles, extract hostage. Neutralize all threats, 15-minute time limit. They'd go in pairs. Random selection. He called 2 numbers, 3 and 8. Both men. They grabbed weapons, moved to entry point. Merrick watched on monitors. They cleared first 3 rooms professionally. Good spacing, clean shots. Then hit room 4. 3 hostiles, multiple angles, complex geometry, hostage in corner. One candidate tried moving wide for better position, calculated risk, but target acquired him first. Simunition round hit his thigh. He went down. His partner saw him fall, hesitated. Critical mistake in room clearance. Second target engaged. Round caught the partner in chest. Both failed. Instructor called time. 9 minutes elapsed. Next pair went. More aggressive approach. Used flashbang at entry to room 4. Rushed during confusion. High risk, but effective. Extracted hostage successfully. Time, 6 minutes, 12 seconds. 2 more pairs followed. One failed by moving too slow. Time expired before extraction. One barely succeeded with sloppy technique. Then instructor called 7 and 2. Candidate 2 was female. Tall, athletic build, hard eyes. She looked at Merrick, nodded once. They took weapons, checked loads, moved to entry. Merrick signaled with hands, point and cover. She acknowledged. They stacked up, synchronized breathing, then entered. First room left, clear. Second room right, single target. Merrick fired twice. Center mass. Target dropped. They flowed through doorway into third room. 2 targets. Split coverage. Merrick left. She right. 4 shots total. 2 seconds. Both targets down. They moved. Fourth room was the test. Merrick stopped at threshold. Listened. Heard mechanical sounds. Electronic targets repositioning, but also organic breathing. The hostage. He scanned the room quickly. 3 hostiles using furniture cover, 1 behind concrete barrier, 1 behind overturned desk, 1 behind wooden chair. Hostage in far corner, tape over mouth, hands bound. Any miss could hit the hostage. Standard entry meant getting shot. Every previous pair proved it. Merrick looked around, saw ventilation grate at floor level, maybe 20 inches square. He pointed. Candidate 2 saw it, understood immediately. He moved to grate, pulled it open quietly, crawled through. Tight fit. His shoulders barely made it. He emerged behind the targets. On their 6th. They were focused forward, sensors aimed at main door. He caught Candidate 2's eye through the opening, signaled. She scraped her boot against doorframe. Deliberate noise. All 3 targets pivoted toward sound. Merrick engaged from behind. 3 shots. Rapid succession. All 3 targets registered fatal hits. Shut down. Candidate 2 entered. Cut hostage free. They extracted together. Total time, 5 minutes 47 seconds. Course record. Back in briefing room, Vance reviewed results. 8 candidates completed first evaluation. 3 succeeded. 5 failed. He called numbers. 5 stood. Walked out. No argument. 6 remained. Second evaluation tested decision-making under pressure. Different room. Individual computer stations. Vance explained format. Real scenarios from past operations. Sanitized but actual cases. Make decisions. Justify them. 30 seconds per scenario. Their reasoning mattered more than specific choices. First scenario loaded. Terrorist compound. High-value target confirmed. Responsible for multiple attacks. American casualties. But intelligence also showed civilian presence. Women? Children? Extended family? Cultural norm in region. Proceed with raid or abort mission and lose target who would disappear. Timer started. Merrick processed the variables. Mission value versus collateral damage. Operational necessity versus moral cost. He selected proceed, but with modified approach. Typed justification. Use precision entry. Maximize target discrimination. Accept slower movement to minimize civilian harm. Tactical patience over surprise advantage. Chose protecting innocents even if it increases mission risk. Timer expired. Second scenario appeared. Captured operative. American. Held by hostile intelligence service. Conventional interrogation producing no results. Standard methods exhausted. Medical officer present. Could administer pharmaceutical agents that might loosen psychological resistance. But drugs carried significant health risks. Possible permanent neurological damage. Possibly death. Mission-critical intelligence needed within 6 hours. Without that intelligence, planned operation would fail. American lives at risk. Use enhanced interrogation or accept intelligence failure and operational risk. Merrick weighed the variables. Immediate tactical gain versus long-term institutional credibility. Short-term advantage versus permanent moral compromise. He selected no enhancement. Typed justification. Institutional integrity outweighs temporary tactical advantage. Enhanced methods create legal liability, erode moral authority, Undermine long-term strategic position. Mission failure acceptable compared to violating operational ethics. Timer expired. Third scenario loaded. 2 team members trapped in building. Enemy force closing in. Surrounded. No ground extraction possible. Extraction helicopter could attempt immediate rescue, but high probability of being shot down. Heavy anti-aircraft presence. Losing helicopter would mean losing entire team. 8 operators plus aircrew. Risk all personnel to save 2 or abandon 2 to preserve majority. Merrick examined the scenario for alternatives. Binary choice or tertiary option. He selected modified approach. Typed justification. Create tactical diversion. Use supporting units to draw anti-aircraft attention. Give trapped members window to reach secondary extraction point outside primary threat zone. Don't abandon them, but don't sacrifice everyone. Split risk through creative tactical support. Timer expired. 2 more scenarios followed. Each progressively harder. Each pulling at different aspects of judgment and operational necessity. When finished, Vance reviewed results. 3 candidates passed. 3 failed. Called numbers. 3 stood. Left. 3 remained. Merrick candidate. 2 candidate 6. Vance said final evaluation was different. Individual. Private. Called candidate 6. He left with Vance. 47 minutes later, Vance returned alone. Called candidate 2. She left. 39 minutes later, Vance came for Merrick. They walked deep into facility, down multiple levels, underground. Temperature dropped. Air got thicker. They reached heavy blast door. Vance opened it. Told Merrick to enter. Then closed door behind him. Lock engaged. Merrick was alone. Room was empty except for table in center. Single folder on it. Merrick opened the folder. Inside were photographs. Professional surveillance. A man. Mid-40s. Various locations over multiple days. Pattern of life documentation. Below photos was detailed dossier. Name: Viktor Sokolov. Nationality: Russian Federation. Cover: Trade Attaché. Actual: SVR Intelligence Officer. Location: Northern Virginia. Activity: Running active espionage network. Recruiting American assets. Stealing classified information. Confirmed threat. Final page presented 2 options. Alpha. Extended surveillance. 6 months. Map entire network. Identify all compromised assets. Build legal case. Arrest everyone. Full prosecution. But alerts Russian intelligence. Forces them to adapt. Cycle begins again with new methods. Bravo. Direct elimination. 48 hours. Make death appear natural. Heart attack. Medical emergency. No operational signature. Network collapses. Compromised assets go dark. Never know they were identified. Russian intelligence suspects but can't prove. Can't retaliate officially. Below options, you have 10 minutes to decide and justify your choice. Clock started counting down. This wasn't hypothetical. Details too specific. Too current. This was real person. Real decision. Life or death. Merrick stared at photos. At Sokolov's face. Thought about what this meant. About choosing who lives, who dies. About operational necessity versus moral constraint. 6 minutes left. Alpha was lawful, due process, constitutional principles, rule of law, the way democracies operate, the way America claims to be different, but slow, inefficient. Telegraphs intentions, allows enemies to adapt. Bravo was operational, fast, efficient, permanent solution, but crosses lines, becomes judge and executioner, operates outside law, outside oversight, slippery slope. Where does it end? 3 minutes. Merrick made decision. Wrote justification. Selected Bravo but modified. Typed, "Don't eliminate Sokolov immediately. Use him first. Immediately isolate his intelligence access. Control what information he can obtain. Feed him false intelligence exclusively. No more real damage occurs. Turn him into unwitting asset. Let him report fabricated information to Moscow. Poison their analysis from within. After 6 months, when usefulness expires, then eliminate. Make death appear natural. Maximize tactical deception value, then solve threat permanently. Gets strategic benefits of Alpha with operational efficiency of Bravo. Clock hit 0. Door opened. Vance entered. Took folder. Read Merrick's answer carefully. Spent full minute analyzing the reasoning. Nodded slowly. Told him to follow. They walked back to briefing room. Candidates 2 and 6 waited. Vance stood at front. Said all 3 passed final evaluation, but only 1 would be selected. He looked at candidate 6. Said he chose Alpha. Surveillance and prosecution. Showed patience, showed respect for law, but also showed hesitation when decisiveness required. Not right fit for this unit. Told him to leave. 6 stood, nodded, walked out. Vance turned to candidate 2, said she chose Bravo. Direct elimination. Showed operational focus. Showed willingness to make hard calls. But risk acceptance bordered reckless. Lacked strategic perspective. Would be assigned different unit, more structured environment, better fit for her skills. She stood. Looked at Merrick. Smiled slightly. Left. Vance looked at Merrick. Said his answer was different. Modified Bravo. Use then eliminate. Showed both tactical thinking and strategic vision. Showed creativity under pressure. Showed understanding that best solutions often exist outside binary choices. That's what they needed. Operators who could see angles others missed, who could create options where none existed. Told Merrick to stand. Said, "Welcome to classified unit. Designation classified. Mission parameters classified. Operational authority classified." Said from this moment forward, his name would be removed from all official records. Family would be told training accident, closed casket funeral, service with honors. But body never recovered. He would cease to exist in every system, every database, every file. Would become ghost. Operating where government couldn't acknowledge, doing work that would never be recorded. Asked if Merrick accepted these terms. No going back, no changing mind, no second thoughts. This was permanent. Merrick thought about Hayes. About 3 words. Get out now. Hayes knew this was coming. Knew what it meant. Gave Merrick chance to run. He hadn't run. Had chosen forward. He said yes. Vance told him to follow. They walked through facility, past training rooms, past armories, past operations center, through final door, outside. Dawn was full now. Valley stretched before them. Compound much larger than Merrick initially saw. Multiple buildings, training areas, vehicle depot, ranges, helipads. This was permanent installation. This was home, now. Vance said training began in 4 hours. Next 6 months would break him down, rebuild him as something different, something beyond normal human limits. Learn skills from no manual. Train with operators who'd done this for decades. Become weapon government used when all other options failed. Showed him barracks, small room, bed, locker, window overlooking valley, breakfast at 7, training at 8. Any doubts, speak now. After breakfast, no exit, no withdrawal, permanent commitment. Merrick said no doubts. Vance said he expected that answer, said they'd waited 6 years specifically for this moment. Everything before was preparation. Everything was test. Everything led here. He left. Merrick sat on bed, looked out window, watched sun rise over mountains, thought about world beyond valley, about people living normal lives, about how they didn't know places like this existed, didn't know men like him existed. Operating in shadows, doing necessary work, keeping them safe without acknowledgement. He closed eyes, slept for first time in 36 hours. Training began 4 hours later. First month focused on physical limits. Running until legs gave out, then running more, climbing until arms failed, then climbing higher, fighting until body shut down, then fighting through shutdown. Week 12 brought breaking point. 72-hour field exercise. No food, no sleep. Navigate hostile terrain. Evade pursuit teams. Complete objectives under constant pressure. Most candidates hallucinated by hour 48. Saw things that weren't there. Merrick stayed focused. Used that breathing technique. 4 counts in. 4 counts hold. 4 counts out. 4 counts hold. Pushed through exhaustion, through pain, through mental collapse. Finished objectives first. Extracted at hour 71. Reed met him at extraction point. Looked at him. Said nothing. Just nodded once. That nod meant more than any praise. Months continued. Weapons training until shooting became reflex. Hand-to-hand focused purely on elimination. Surveillance skills. Language basics. Technical systems. Tradecraft. Everything operators needed to function alone in hostile territory without support. Final week brought real test. Asset compromised in Eastern Europe. Extraction required. Hostile intelligence service closing in. Window was 48 hours maximum. Team of 4 would deploy. Merrick Reed, Kess. One other candidate who made it through. No backup. No support beyond initial insertion. Success meant completing training. Failure meant asset died and they washed out. They deployed at night. Commercial flight to Germany. Military transport to forward staging area. Ground vehicle to border. Crossed at unmonitored point. Moved through countryside toward city. Found safe house location. Approached carefully. Reed signaled stop. Something wrong, door slightly ajar. Professional entry would close completely. They stacked up, entered tactical. Inside was empty. Furniture overturned. Signs of struggle. Blood on floor. Recent. Still wet. Reed checked. Type O positive. Matched assets records. Not fatal amount, but concerning. Dead drop behind loose brick. Merrick found note. Handwriting shaky. Almost illegible. Backup location provided. Apartment building. Sector 7. 4th floor. But something felt wrong about note. Handwriting too stressed. Possibly written under duress. Could be trap. Could be legitimate emergency. No way to verify. Merrick made call. Proceed to backup location. Accept risk. No other options. Asset's life depended on speed. They moved through city. 30 minutes. Reached apartment building. Soviet-era construction. Concrete. Deteriorating. Multiple exit points. Good for defense, bad for assault. Reed and Kess took outside positions. Covered exits. Merrick and other candidate entered. Climbed stairs quietly. Reached 4th floor. Located correct apartment. Stacked outside door. Merrick knocked pattern from briefing. 3 short. 2 long. 1 short. Recognition signal. Door opened. Chain still attached. Woman's face. Mid-30s. Terrified. Eyes wide. She saw Merrick. Relief flooded her expression. She closed door. Removed chain. Opened fully. They entered fast. Secured room. Asset was shaking. Said hostile surveillance had been heavy all week. Said she thought she'd been followed. Said safe house was compromised yesterday. Barely escaped. Left blood behind during exit. Minor cut, but looked worse than it was. Merrick assessed situation. No time for careful extraction. Window closing fast. Hostile service knew she was running. Would be searching. He activated emergency exfil. Called for pickup at alternate location 3 blocks away. Empty parking lot near industrial area. Asset between them. They moved. Exit building through rear. Into alley. Scanning constantly. Halfway to extraction point, other candidate signaled. Contact. 2 men. 50 meters behind. Professional spacing. Civilian clothes but military movement. Keeping distance but definitely tracking. Merrick made call. Reed peeled off. Interdiction. Would delay pursuers. Buy time. Rest of team continued toward extraction. Behind them heard brief confrontation. Scuffle. Impact sounds. Then silence. Reed's voice came through comms. 2 contacts neutralized. Proceeding to backup extraction. Merrick acknowledged. Kept moving. Reached parking lot. Helicopter already inbound. Could hear rotors in distance. Asset was shaking. Fear and adrenaline. Other candidate kept her calm. Spoke quietly. Reassured her. 30 seconds. Helicopter appeared. Came in fast. Touched down. Rotor wash kicked up dust. They loaded Asset first, then climbed in themselves. Reed arrived running. Last one in. Door closed. Helicopter lifted. As they climbed, hostile vehicles arrived. Too late. Clean extraction. Mission success. Back at facility, Vance met them. Said well done. Said training complete. All 4 passed. Would be assigned to operational teams. Would begin real work. Merrick had become what they needed. Ghost. Operator. Solution. The work that came next would never be public, never acknowledged, never known, but would matter, would stop threats, would save lives, would keep world safer. That was enough. That was everything.